Right, here we are inside of Cinema 4D, the 2023 version. So let's make, first of all, the spider's web that you've seen in the video. And then I'm going to introduce the red and blue character that fall into it. Okay, so let's just go through how we do this. So the first thing you do is, just to make a quick web, is I start off with a disc like this, okay? Let's go into ground shading line so you can see what's going to happen here with like the web look. So on the disc segments here, let's put that up to about 20, okay? So I think you'll agree that's sort of a kind of a web look. Right, so what we do now is we make it editable using this icon here, and then we go to the edge selection tool, and then we go select and select all, so it selects all of the lines, okay, all of the edges. And then what we need to do is we need to make those edges into a spline, and the way we do that is I find it easier just to search for it just here, and we type in edge to, there we go, it's the only one there, edge to spline. Double click that, it will automatically look over here, go as a child of the disc. So all we have to do is pop that outside of the disc and then delete the original disc. And now we have a spline that we can work with. Okay. So what do we do now? We need to put some actual geometry on that. So if I just render that quickly, you'll see there's nothing there because it's just a spline. So let's go into the menu here and select the sweep. What do they call this now? Sweep. I used to call it sweep nerve. A sweep object. A sweep object, and then we also need to grab. I always grab an inside because I've got a little bit more control over, like the subdivisions and things that you can use on it. So we can bring it down low. Right. So for this, we're going to go for very small. We're going to go for like a 0.1 in there, and then we're going to drag that underneath sweep. And then we're going to drag this disc spline underneath that. Right, so here we go. So if I go to the render view now, you'll see that it renders it absolutely fine. So that's the first look for the spider web. Now then, let's go to the top view, just here, and let's just extend on the disc spline here some of these lines out, because the spider's web, they continue out some of the lines, don't they? Like you saw on my video, they just, it's not just that round bit, they just continue out. So what we'll do is we'll go to the edge, sorry, we'll go to the spline. I wish I got these words right. I'll go to the point tool, right, and then we'll go to the spline pen, right, like this, and then we will draw. Let's just come out a little bit like that. Then we're just going to draw a few lines on. Right, so you click that and you escape, and then let's choose this one and draw that out. They don't have to be absolutely in line because spiders' webs are not, you know, they'll go off at all these different angles. Okay, so we'll just put a few around. Yeah, you could have another one here that's connected to something closer. Another one over here. Just randomly add in a few extra lines just to make it look a bit more like a spider's web. Okay, so you just click in the end line, it snaps to it, and then we just extend out. So don't forget to escape every time you've used the pen because it stays joined. So there we go. So that's the look. Now we need to add the dynamics, the rope. So how do we do that and where? So on the disc spline, we right click, we go to the new simulation system menu, which now has rope there, you see. We click on rope, and we also, while we're here, right click, and we also need to grab from here a connector. Right, so let's go to rope, have a look at that. Let's put in, let's try 3 in the bendiness. Now, this is a web, and this attracts things and they stick to it. Right, so we've got a new feature in here in 2023 called stickiness, which is absolutely brilliant. I love using this. Let's really crank that up. Let's go 500 stickiness. Okay. Right, the radius of this web is based on this end side that we've put in at 0.1. Okay, so if we go back to here, where it says radius, that we need to put in 0.1. Now the mass, I think if you left it at 1, it'd be similar to the weight of a load of ropes all connected together. It'll be quite a heavy kind of thing in real life. So what we do there is we take that right down to like 0.1, and we could go even less than that. We could go like 0.05 or something, but let's just try 0.1. So it's a really light web, you know, that can blow around in the wind, and it's, you know, this is a real environment here. We've got to look at this as a real life environment. So we want the weights to be similar to what they'd be in the real world. Okay, so we'll put a 0.1 there. And now let's move to the connectors, because this is an interesting little tool here. This is quite like this. So what we do with this is we decide on the search radius of what it's going to find to connect. Right, so if you look at our web here, we want to just kind of bring this thing up to about 20, and then the connections up about 10 maybe, and then we say same object, because it's going to find all the connections in the same object, and then we'll click update live. So straight away I'll click that. Look, it's starting to like connect this web together, which is what we want, you know, because obviously if we don't, it won't act like a web and the thing will just fall down. So it has to kind of find all these links and connections to make it more like a web. So we'll stick with that, and then we'll also put in about 3 in the stretchiness as well. And we will at some point, I think we might as well do it while we're here, let's add the tearing part as well, because we need this web to break at a certain point as well. So we'll put that in, we'll keep it at 150, and we will have, and I'll explain this later, we'll have to reduce that. Right, so let's see if we've got everything we need. We've got that there. Right, what we need to do as well is we need to go back to the rope, we need to go to the point tool, we need to go to the brush selection tool here, and then we need to click on the spline, this spline, and then we need to select all of these end points that we made, you know, all these extended bits of the web that go out like this. Just go over all of those, and then when we're on the rope tag here, we want to go down here where it says display anchor and fixed, and then we want to click set. Okay, let's click off that back to object mode, and you'll see that all these points now have gone purple, which means they're fixed and held in position. Right, so let's go back to the perspective mode so we can see what's happening here. Right, so here it is completely flat. It has a rope and a connector, and we've fixed some points, and we've also, you know, fixed that connector part in as well. Right, so let's have a look and see what happens if we just press play now. Oh, I seem to be upside down. I do apologise. I thought my head felt a bit lightheaded. There we go. We're actually that way up, aren't we? Because the Y was pointing the wrong way up. Anyway, let's try that again with the world the right way up. Right, so this is what's happening there. It's kind of looking really quite nice. I'm going to take off the work plane. So if you go to filter and click off work plane, you won't get that grid across everything you're looking at. So go back to the beginning and press play, and you see how that just right, let's put some more frames in. Let's put about 800. I do like to work with a few more frames so it runs longer, but look how that lovely oscillates up and down, and it's being held really nicely by these fixed thread points there that we've created. Right, so we've got this kind of little canopy thing, haven't we, which is just floating. This could be used in so many things. This could be a, you know, like a seat, like one of these strung seats you see when, you know, like that use rope, don't they? I don't know if it's quite rope, but you know what I mean, that kind of like cradle things. What else have we got? Oh, what am I trying to think of? The hammock. that's the word, like a hammock, you know. So you could do a very, very similar thing here with hammocks and just things that are made of like ropes and twines and things. So bear that in mind as we go through this, and you know, you might go, oh yeah, I could do that with this. You know, very, very powerful system this. So at the moment we're just using it for this kind of web look. So nice and light, because we've only got a 0.1 mass on here, right? So it's a real light web, and this is what we want for a spider's web, don't we? Okay, so we've got that now, and it renders. Okay, look at that, looks really nice in the viewport. So what we need now is we need to introduce something into this scene which is going to interact with this. Now, I thought I would bring in my little characters that I'm going to use throughout a lot of these simulations. Just a couple of little guides here that I've got. Let's turn them on. Here they are, meet red and blue. Right, so they've had a cloth tag put on them. I'll go through how I did this in another video, but just for now, let's just copy those two guys and let's drop them into this scene. There they go, look. They're hovering above the web. Right, so what are they going to do? Let's just have a look at their settings. They've got some bendiness on them, just to make sure that they bend when they hit the web, you know, so they're not rigid characters. So they've got a 10 on the bendiness. A little bit of friction, a little bit of stickiness, right? They've got loads of stickiness on the web itself, but these have also got a little bit on them as well, so it will help them just to cling a bit. But if you have too much, they will cling to themselves. Okay, so we've kept that down at 1. What else? Right, so they've got a 0.5 on their weight. Let's have a look at the other fella. Yeah, 0.5, and the web is 0.1. So this means that they are quite a bit heavier than the web. So it's whether it's going to support the weight. So you have to look at this when you're doing this. Is you've got to get the mass, you know, right. So if you had a heavier mass on the web and lighter objects hitting it, excuse me, it wouldn't break because they'd hold them. If they're heavier than the web that they're landing on, they're more than likely going to break it. So let's just see what happens, because we have got this tearing set up on the connector that we put on there earlier at 150. Now, let me just explain this. If you put in 100, it will break immediately. Let me just show you that. Let's just put in 100 and press play. Okay, the whole thing just crashes out of the scene. Okay, if we then go back there and we put in 200, I think this is right. Let's just lift our characters up. They seem to be interacting with the web. Let's take them up there, that's it. And now if we press play, as you can see, that web at 200 is not going to tear. It's not going to react. So you need to be 100, it tears completely, breaks up. 200, it's completely solid. So you need to kind of mess around between 100% and 200% of where this breaking point will be. So if we come right down to say 120, excuse me, have a little bit of coffee because I'm having a cough. That's going to help all this talking. Right, let's put it at 120, and then let's have a look from the top. Right, so the characters have just fallen through, and as you can see, it's broken a bit of the web. Okay, let's just go back and watch that again from the top. There we go, look. So it's kind of breaking up as it goes through. Now, are these characters... Right, let's take their mass down, okay? Because we've got a 0.1 on the web, so let's go 0.5 for the mass of these two characters, and then let's drop them again. All right, they're still going through. Now, there is lots of other settings that we can mess with here. So one of the ones is, so if you do Control D on the keyboard, you will bring up the project settings, and we need to go to this new simulation tab here. Excuse me. And the iterations are on 1. So I think we need to move that up to about, let's try 8. And let's just try that again, because it's more calculations. The more iterations, the more steps that the computer will work out. If it's just one, it will probably ignore lots of calculations and it will do it quicker. The more you put in, the more closely it will be to your settings in your simulation. You know, it will follow it more closely. But it will slow it down. If you put too many big numbers in here, it will slow it down. But the good news is on this new simulation system is it works a lot quicker. So you can push these numbers up quite a bit. So let's just try that one. Slows it down a little. Look. So now what we're seeing, because the only change we've made is we've put 8 in the iterations apart from 1. Okay, we haven't messed with any of the other settings, we haven't adjusted anything else, we've just gone straight to Control D on the keyboard, straight into your project settings, in simulation, and then add in a few more iterations. You'll find this, you have to work with the project menu along with the cloth and the rope menu at the same time. They're like interchangeable. Okay, so what it's managing to do now is it's holding the weight of these little guys, because one, they've got a 0.2 on the mass, and the breaking strain mass on the rope is 0.1. So they are heavier than this, but it's at the moment it's still supporting their weight. That you can see they're kind of dropping through. So I'm really sorry about this cough. I'm just going to have another little drink of coffee. I don't know how much of this I have, but it comes in quite useful when you're doing this sort of work. Right, so at the moment, they're not tearing through this material, okay? So if we go back to the connector mode here, look, we've got that set at 120%. Let's drop that down to 110. And let's go back and let's see if this makes any difference. All right. So one of them's completely fallen through now in one of these holes, but there isn't a great deal of tearing happening. So let's go down to 105 and see what we get there. Okay, it's sort of starting to break up now. Look, if you have a look, it's really kind of breaking up. All of the pieces are all breaking away. So I just want to see if this character actually falls through. Excuse me. So basically, it's just about playing around with various settings when you get this far, okay, and they're kind of hanging there in all of this tangled web. We just have to play around with these, right? So we've got 105, but if we bring up, say, the stretchiness, so the rope will stretch more. As you can see, I think that's probably tearing more because it's stretching more. This guy's still in there. Let's increase the weight of him. Let's go 0.3 there on the weight of red. Make him a bit heavier than blue and see what happens. Is he getting heavier? Let's have a look. He's pulling, yeah, look at this. He's pulling the web completely down and it's ripping all the sides. Yeah, so it's loads of fun trying to get, you know, let's just do a quick render there. Let's just put my, what am I doing? Let's put the physical sky. Let's give a nice background to this, okay? Let's go to sky, let's turn off physical sky, and let's just take out one of the colours there so we can just get this really nice background. Let's just do a quick render. Okay, so let's add a nice shiny silvery kind of colour for the web, which would be, let's go white, let's go reflectance, let's add a Beckman. Crank up the reflection strength. Let's take down the roughness. And then that'll be about right. Let's put that on the sweep, and then let's redo that. Look at that nice shiny silvery bit of web. So look at that. I mean, it's just lovely. Excuse me. Here they come, look, crashing through. Actually, it's a little bit high in the scene there. But yeah, loads of fun to be had here. Think of all the uses you could have using rope in this way. Okay. Put your comments below the video if you've come up with something else you can use it for. You know, I just thought of that hammock while I was on the call earlier, didn't I, on this call? And spider's web, and I was trying to think of other things where maybe, excuse me, I picked a really bad day to do a video, didn't I? Maybe a fence, like a wire fence, you know, with a car crashing through it, would be used very, very similar to this, using this rope system. So any questions, please put them below. I may have forgot a few things. If not, please have a little go. Put your comments below on other things you want to know, what's coming up, any problems you're having with this. I will try and answer as well. And yeah, take care. I will see you in the next video, which will be another simulation using cloth or rope or balloon or whatever it is. I'm going to do another one like this. You'll see my characters red and blue again. They're going to be demonstrating another simulation system from the new 2023. My name is Mike German from Visual Animation. Take care. Goodbye for now.